Hey, I almost said hello, middle of the book march. Hey Booktube, it's Kim at Middle of the Book March, and a very short intro today because I have a lot to talk about. This is my bookish week for Saturday, December 20th. No. Oh my gosh, it's Saturday, January 20th. Nope, it's Saturday, January 21st. Oh my gosh, I am out of it. I was working from home on Friday, which is when I film this. My schedule is all out of whack. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so yeah, guess what? I didn't finish one book last week, but I still have plenty of bookish stuff to talk about. And why? Because I always have a lot to talk about. I don't ever run out of material. If you've been around for a while on my channel, you'll know that I can go on and on and on about books. I don't have to have finished anything, even though that makes it a little more interesting for you all. So I will apologize right here and now. What am I going to talk about? First of all, I had a DNF that I forgot to talk about last week, and let's see. This is Someday Maybe. Here's the cover by Onyi Nwabaneli. And I believe she is a Nigerian British author. Born in Nigeria, she grew up in Glasgow. And let's see, she is the co-founder of Surviving Out Loud, a fund that provides fiscal support for survivors of sexual assault, and the founder of Black Pens, a writing retreat for Black women. Someday Maybe is her debut novel. So yes, I DNF'd this book, but it's a good book. I'm not the audience for it. I actually read about half of this book. And the audio, I listened to a lot of the audio, is fantastic. It's excellent on audio. I'm not the audience for this book. This is a book about grief, and there's no spoiler. This is a story of a young woman whose husband has killed himself. And so there are a little bit of triggers in the beginning for suicide, for grief, for death and mourning, and all of those topics. There's a lot to discuss. She is a Black woman married to a white man, and there's some family baggage, I believe, on both sides of the family. So, like I said, this is not a bad book. It's actually really well written. I just did not want to complete it. I got halfway through, and I was really impressed with the writing. I think the one thing that I was just not interested in is it is written over a very short amount of time, like within a week, 2 weeks. And it starts to get a little bit repetitive, like, all right, you already wrote that, you already said that. But the writing was really good, and this, for a debut novel, I was really impressed with this. So I didn't finish it, but I definitely think if you pick it up, if you like contemporary fiction, you might really enjoy this. So I kind of recommend that. Now, my next DNF is very depressing for me because I was really hoping to love this novel. It's a classic of science fiction literature. It is The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. I got about 70% through the book, and I finally just gave myself permission to put it down. I felt like I could not understand anything. There were a few threads of plot where I kind of knew who was talking, what was going on, where it was leading. But there are so many fantastical terms and proper nouns and names and cities and sci-fi pieces of equipment. I just felt like I can't keep the plot thread. I can't keep it in my brain. I could not keep it straight. I really wanted to love the story, and I loved the idea of the story, but it wasn't what I was expecting, and I just thought, this is making me work really, really hard for this story and for this plot. I just didn't get it, and I felt stupid, and that's fine. There are plenty of books that I've read that makes me feel stupid, But this one I was really disappointed with because I had really enjoyed the first 3 Hainish novels, and The Left Hand of Darkness is number 4. The last one, the 5th one, is The Dispossessed, which I will go on and read or attempt to read. But The Left Hand of Darkness is such a classic of sci-fi literature. I was just really, really sad that it didn't work for me. And I understand that I'm not necessarily a sci-fi fan. I really do enjoy fantasy here and there, but not science fiction. I will try. I have a couple of other books in my collection that are science fiction that I will try, but I just did not get on with The Left Hand of Darkness, and that does make me sad. So, like I said, I didn't finish anything last week, but I do have 2 books I'm currently reading, and they are on my Goodreads if you see that. A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. This is for the Blind Eye Book Club, and we're going to begin our discussion in 1 more week, so probably a week from now. I'm talking on Friday, so it'll probably be around the 26th or the 27th that I'll open up the discussion. And we'll talk about this for a few days or however long it takes. February's book is Mama Day by Gloria Naylor. And so, yes, I'm currently reading this one. I'm a little over halfway through of A Tale for the Time Being. I am also reading Elena Knows by Claudia Pinheiro, and this is translated by Frances Riddle. This is translated from the Spanish. Let me double check that. I believe she's Argentinian, Buenos Aires, and yeah, sorry, I'm looking down here. So, translated by Frances Riddle, and this has been on Booktube quite a bit. This is the story of Elena, whose adult daughter Rita has died, and the authorities have told her that they believe her death was a suicide, but Elena thinks otherwise. So she has a chronic disorder, Parkinson's disease, and she's slowly starting to physically deteriorate, so she has a difficult time getting around. But in between memories of her daughter and reminiscing, she is trying to perform her own personal investigation into her daughter Rita's death. So I'm just about 3 chapters into it, but I'm really enjoying the writing. I'm really liking that story. So since I didn't finish anything, what else do I have to talk to you about? Well, I just watched a video that really resonated with me, and I wanted to talk about it. It was from Micah Cummins, and I will link his channel below. I will link the video below. And he just posted a video a few days ago talking about slowing down in 2023 and not really getting invested in a Goodreads goal for quantity of books read, but caring more about the quality of his reading for the year. And that resonated with me because honestly, I could have probably made that video for myself and posted it, but what he said struck every chord with me. And that's kind of where I'm at for 2023. I didn't finish any book this week. And at first, that kind of makes me a little nervous because I want to have things to talk about on my weekly video. But I'm okay with that because I let go of some books that I just was not enjoying at all. I put a lot of investment into both of the DNFs that I had, more than 50%. And the 2 books that I'm currently reading, I'm really enjoying, and I've actually been reading them fairly slowly, which is great. I'm reading small pieces of A Tale for the Time Being, and I'm reading it at work, I'm reading it at home, and I'm really liking that pace because I think I'm absorbing more. And Elena Knows, I'm reading that mostly at night, and I've read a chapter or 2 at a time. And I don't have a schedule for that book. I'm just reading it at my own pace for whenever I complete it. But for 2023, what I've realized is I've realized the books that really make me happy and the ones that really sit with me. I've also realized the books that I don't need to keep physically on my shelves. I just did a pretty big unhaul. I'm going to continue to do that. But I don't need to have to keep them. I don't need to keep them because I found them at a library sale for 50 cents. If I've lost interest, then I've given them away. I almost always donate my books. Once in a while, I'll bring them to a store for store credit. but I'm realizing the ones that truly make me happy that I want to keep on my shelves. And the unread books, I'm realizing the ones that will stay and that I really want to read. So it has nothing to do with quantity. It used to. Last year was the year I read the most in quantity, I think, that I've ever read. And I've been keeping track on Goodreads. And it was almost like a personal best for me. I wasn't competing against anybody else. And I wasn't competing against a Goodreads number. I don't set those goals. I gave that up a couple years ago. So yet last year was a really big reading year for me. However, I could feel it, and I could feel it along the way. I don't want to get caught up in reading for quantity and seeing how many books I could read. I want to read for quality, and I want to really sink into the books I'm picking up. And I'm realizing the books that I want to look at on my shelves. So what I want to show you right now are some books that I would love to get to this year. It's the entire year is wide open. And what my In Real Life Book Club and I have done is we've started to have a side project aside from our monthly meetings where we're reading long classics together. And we just finished reading The Count of Monte Cristo. We've read that at the end of last year and just absolutely loved it. Everybody that read it loved it. We had the best discussion and the best time reading it together. And so we've decided to have a side club of long classics. And we all compiled a list of books and we voted on them. So what we're going to try to do is maybe read a book a quarter. So one book every 3 months or so. And we voted on the books that made it to the top 3 for this year. And I wanted to show you those. So these are 3 long books that I want to get to this year. The first one, we had a tie for first place, but we decided to pick this one first because it came up organically with everybody in the group. And once we actually got down and voted, this one and the second one, it's like a coin toss. But we decided to start with this one. We're going to be reading this one in March and April. And it is Middlemarch by George Eliot. So clearly for me, it's going to be a reread. But this will also correspond to March of the Mammoth starting in March. And this I will not read and finish the entire book in the month of March. We're going to stretch it out March through April, like I just said. And we're going to read this together. And we already have a group set up on Voxer. And we're just really excited. I can't wait to read Middlemarch. Now, what I would like to do is read a second Mammoth and maybe finish it in the month of March. And it might be tough because it's 2 Mammoths, and I'm also reading A Fine Balance through March and April with my Blind Eye Book Club. So there's 3 longish books. And I'm also judging the Booktube prize, and I'm judging in nonfiction, which I am really looking forward to. I wasn't sure if I was going to take part in the Booktube prize, but I decided I'm going to concentrate on nonfiction. I haven't done that in the past. I've gone back and forth. But I don't know if I'm going to be picked for the first round, so I may not even have that as an obligation as a scheduled reading project for March and April, but we'll see. Actually, for February and March. We'll see if I get picked. Even if I do, I still want to get a couple of Mammoths done for the month of March. This is the other one, Don Quixote, by Miguel de Cervantes, and this is a copy that I just recently acquired. I really want to read this, and I'm thinking this will be, it's over 900 pages in this particular volume. This is the translation by Edith Grossman. I know there's mixed feelings about this book on Booktube, but it's on my bucket list. It's on the list of long classics. I would love to attempt it, and I would love to see if I can finish both of these books in March, and Middlemarch will go through April. So, yeah, that's just the beginning of what is going to be obvious to you all is my classics project. Now, the number 2 book in the not the Blind Eye Book Club, but my Critical Chicks in Real Life Big Classics Book Club. This one came in number 2. This one is well over 1,000 pages, and I don't even know yet. Yeah, it's like well over 1,200 pages with notes and everything. could be 1,300. I don't even know. But this one we designated for number 2, and we're going to read this probably over the summer for 3 months because it's ginormous. And this is Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. And this is the Penguin Deluxe Classics edition. It's got the deckled edges and the French flaps and all that. Really, really excellent edition. The font is a really nice size. It's probably why it's so long. And this is translated by Christine Donna Hewer, I think that's what her last name is. But again, another super long book over the summer. We'll see. It may be a weird choice for a summer read, but I don't believe in that anyway. So that's what we're going to try to read over the summer. And another book that we picked, our number 3 choice, and we were talking about reading this, I believe, October, November, towards the end of the year. This one is a lot shorter, but it's still a long book. My particular copy, I think, has over 500 pages. And I have a very old antique copy, but this is Vanity Fair by William Makepeace Thackeray. And this is the spine. I really love to collect old books because you don't get that anymore on new books. Once in a while, take the cover off your hardcover Hamnet if you have the UK edition and you'll see it. But once in a while, but you also get these gorgeous illustrations with this really fine paper that protects the print. You get that type of a title page in these old books, and it's just a beautiful volume. It's really super old. Some of the pages do come out, but it's so old it doesn't have a copyright date on it. But it's just a beautiful old copy that I love to collect. So I've added this to my antiquarian collection. But this is again for the Critical Chicks Big Classics Book Club. We're going to read this at the end of the year. Now I have 2 more that I'm hoping to get to this year sometime. At Christmas time, I got Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. And this one is, don't remember. This one is translated by Oliver Reddy, and this is another Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition. I really like the artwork on this book. But I'd really love to continue with Russian classics. I've read Anna Karenina, and I really would love to get into Dostoevsky because I would love to read this year too. I know, it's really ambitious, very ambitious. All a bunch of really dead white guys, except for George Eliot with a reread of Middlemarch. But I really want to read War and Peace, and I'm hoping to attempt it maybe this year. I don't even know. This is probably longer than Les Mis. Another of the Penguin Classics Deluxe editions. This one is the Anthony Briggs translation. Now, I also have 1 or 2 other editions in different translations, but this is probably the one I'm going to read or use as my reading copy. I don't have any plans to buddy read this or read in a group. This is my own classics project. So I read, Leo Tolstoy wrote War and Peace, in case you don't know. I don't even know if I said that. I read Anna Karenina several years ago and really disliked it. And I spent 2 weeks on that book and was really mad that I couldn't get that 2 weeks back. But I did finish it. I just didn't enjoy it. I really, really want to conquer this one, though, and this is definitely a bucket list book. I'd love to read it this year, and we'll see how that goes. So you ask, why have I picked these classics that I want to read? Because, well, not because, but typically my reading, the majority of my reading, the books I read are written by women, and I've done a statistic study, and last year and the year before, approximately 10 to 15% of the authors that I read are men. And I think Britta Bowler said this on her channel a few times. Throughout my school career, whether it's been in high school or college, the majority of assigned reading were books by dead white men. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it was very limited and tightly controlled. And I was never exposed to a lot of classic women authors or authors from around the world, international authors, authors of color, and it was a very kind of a strict line of choices, and it very, very infrequently did it deviate. All that said, I still want to read these books. Some of these books are classics of Western classics, and along with these, I've also compiled a list of translated novels that I would love to acquire and read from all over the world. And eventually I want to get to more Eastern classics. You know, I've got a few Russian classics here, but I would love to read books from Australia. I would love to read books from India. Going back towards the Western part of the world, I would love to read African classics from everywhere. So I'm going to try to start with some of these great, big, long classic books. And if I can get these done this year, I'll feel accomplished. Now, these are not the only books I'm going to read, but I think this might change the way I'll be doing my Bookish Week videos, my regular Saturday videos. I may not have as much to talk about. I may not have as many books to talk about. But again, like I said earlier, I will always find something bookish to talk about. And I might use my Saturday video time to do a tag or to show you some books I acquired. Anything or all of the above. So that's my plan. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your reading goals are for this year, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.